time for episode 3 of the KC Lewis Show. I'm loaded up on Quick Trip rollers, and it's time to talk about this week in Royals baseball. That's right, it's the only show that we talk about Royals baseball. Eventually, we'll get to in depth analysis of these numbers. Fangraphs does have some, and we will monitor for another week before we do some in-depth analysis of some players to watch, or who have had some pretty good springs. This was the first full week of baseball games, so there was a lot to still continue to monitor with the team. But overall, as of 3/4/24, March 4th, 24, March 4th of the year 2024. In this spring training, preseason, the Kansas City Royals are 8 wins and 3 losses overall. And this week's record, which will be from February 27th to March 3rd, we have 7 games to cover, and in those 7 games, they went 5 wins and 2 losses. And now for a stat that I'm going to keep track of every week in the preseason. Eventually, it gets tracked a lot easier, where I don't have to do the math on it. But we're going to talk about some run differential real quick. So in this week, they went 5-2. They scored 42 runs and allowed 41. It was. We get to the second half of the week, there are some games that are not helping that run differential improve a lot. Mainly game 6, that didn't help that run differential, but games 2 and 3 also didn't help. But let's talk about these games, right? That's what this show is about. With 7 games on the docket and doing the script writing for this week's episode, I don't have a second segment to go over this week. We're just going to talk about what happened this week. Like I said, I want to monitor give it another week to make sure these players that I am continuing to watch, not so much MJ Melendez and Carlos Hernandez, because Carlos Hernandez just got back to the team after playing for the Venezuelan national team. So he is currently on rest, is what it was. He had some shoulder soreness, so they advised him from doing any baseball activity for the time being. But we'll see when Big Nasty himself will get back on the mound for the Royals instead this preseason. It's still early. They still have plenty of time to get him conditioned. But he's been playing baseball this entire time, so he's still conditioned. But it would be back to facing the major league talent. So anywho, MJ Melendez did play this week, so we do have some moments to watch for him. But there are some other players that have been sticking out to me for who to watch. Last episode I mentioned, Dairon Blanco starting to look really good. This week, not so much. This week, in the games he played, didn't really do a whole lot. A couple hits maybe in this week, but not to the extent that those first 4 games showed him to be at. So, from that perspective, seems like MJ Melendez has a little bit of extra breathing room from Dairon Blanco taking the spot, but Darell Hernandez also had a very good spring, a very good week. So again, we'll continue to monitor it. If it's consistently the case, or if it's not consistently the case, we'll find out. All right. But in our 7 games, here we go. We'll break it down. We'll break down each game in a moment. But first, we will talk about just overall. So in game one on the 27th, the Royals were actually in a split squad for the 27th. So there's two games being played, and pretty standard at times during the preseason for an MLB team to split squad because there's 60 people on the spring training roster, the 40-man, then your roster invite and your spring training invites and your non-roster invites as well. So a lot of invites, a lot of people on the roster. You can split the squads up and you'll be fine. And which is what they did in the 27th. So the first game that happened was against the Rockies, and they ended up winning that game 4-3. And then the other squad went to the San Diego Padres facility. They ended up losing 6-3. And then the next day, the squads reunited, and for the 28th, and they played at the Seattle facilities and won 9-7. Game 4 on the 29th, took a drive over to the White Sox facility, ended up losing 6-1. So right there, 2 games, and actually in a 3-game span, that's 19 runs of the 41 that were allowed. And then game 5 was the start of March against the A's. They ended up winning that game 5-4. It's a little interesting in the 9th inning of that one, but we will get into that as we go over our key moments. Game 6 on the 2nd was at Cleveland. They ended up winning 13-12. An offensive shootout that last year Royals offense did not handle those games very well. But it was a common ground for them as a result of a very inconsistent pitching. They didn't have a whole lot of one-run victories or where opponents didn't score more than 2 runs, let alone a 1-run victory or even a shutout. Those are pretty uncommon in the 2023 season and 2022. If I said 2022 on accident. But again, the point holds for both cases. And then Game 7, our last game that we'll recap, was on the 3rd of March. And we're back at the Royals facility. And it was against the Cincinnati Reds. And they ended up winning that game 7-3. So overall, 5-2 this week. 42 runs scored, 41 allowed. So a positive run differential for the week, which is promising because they had the 3rd worst run differential in Major League Baseball. Not quite too as bad as the A's. A's took that crown and they kept it. They kept it pretty much the entire year. There was a battle with the Royals for worst record for a little bit, where the Royals ended up having a worse record than the A's at points in the year. Then the A's continued to be the Oakland A's, which is unfortunate for athletic fans, as the team decided to do the decision that they have. All right. But we're not about the Oakland Athletics. We are about the Kansas City Royals. So let's talk about Game 1. Remember, Game 1 was a 4-3 victory against the Rockies, is what I'm calling Game 1, as it was the first one on the calendar that I selected to look up the stats for. So is Game 1, if you got a problem with it, let me know. Anywho, so Daniel Lynch started that game. He goes 2 innings, gives up a hit, gives up a run, and then a walk. But he also had 2 strikeouts. So Daniel Lynch doing Daniel Lynch things. I think on the year so far in the spring, he has a 4.5 ERA or something around that, a 4+ ERA. So he's doing about what we expect of him. Obviously, the pitching team for the Royals hope for better than a 4+ ERA, but MLB average ERA is 4+. So let's see here. Some other pitchers of note. And typically, as I was writing this script, I try to find pitchers that were either on the big league roster or were fighting for a position to make of note, because otherwise I would just go down the list in the box score and tell you every pitcher. Um, but you can look up a box score. You don't need me to tell you what the box score is and who pitched. I will tell you who I of note seeing on the box score, because again, I can't watch these games. Most of them, they're most just radio broadcasts, so there is a little bit of playing on the box scores to get some insight. So we have Cruz that pitched in the 5th inning. He gave up a hit, gave up a run, but did get a strikeout. Sauer came in on the 6th. He ends up being the winning pitcher for the day, and then he pitches the 6th and 7th inning, gives up 3 hits and a walk. Dipoto gets the 8th inning, gets a hold, gives up a hit and an earned run and a walk. And then Fleming for the 9th gets a save and 1 inning pitched. So nothing exciting for the end of this game. The Royals take the lead in the 6th, hold on to it. They give up a run in the 8th, but they still hold the lead and win 4-3. So offensively, again, I tried to just identify anyone who did anything, or if they were going to be on the starting roster. So here we go. Adam Frazier went 0 for 2, had a walk, did strike out. Salvi went 0 for 2, had a strikeout. Vinny 1 for 2, an RBI, a walk, and a strikeout. CJ Alexander had a home run for 1 RBI and a run scored, but did also strike out. CJ Alexander was part of the Drew Waters trade from the Braves. Nate Eaton went 1 for 4 with a home run and with a solo shot, so for an RBI. Darrell Hernandez went 2 for 3 on 2 runs scored. Then Tyler Cropley, went 2 for 3 with an RBI. So those were the batters that were either on the big league roster or will be on the big league roster, and those who are fighting for the roster that did anything. But we have the closest thing we'll get to numbers for analytics for these games. There are some numbers out there. Again, not a whole lot's being calculated during the preseason, but we do have our win probability percentage and how that fluctuates throughout the game, and we have key moments that are identified through MLB.com's win probability calculator. So let's talk about them. So our first moment comes in the bottom of the 5th. Nate Eaton hits his solo home run to left field. The Rockies at this point led 2-0, but then Nate Eaton's homer gives a Royals a run, so they come back within 1. Why is this a key moment? Because it gives the Kansas City Royals a win probability of 40.7, which was an increase of 13%. So that is why it was a big moment. And this comes in at the bottom of the 5th with no out. So then next up is Carter Jensen, and he pops up to second base on an infield fly. That's the first out. Kansas City's win probability goes down. Right? It goes down 11.2%. But as it fluctuates throughout the game, we will go to the bottom of the 5th. And at this moment in the game is Vinny Pasquantino is walking on the bases loaded. Hernandez is scoring. Cropley to third. Frazier to second. There are 2 out. The game is now tied due to the walk and RBI that Vinny is getting. The win probability goes up to 59.4, and it was a 15% jump prior to this play and after the play happening is how this is calculated. It's a plus percentage based off of what it was prior to this play and then what it is after this play. And then our last moment for the 5th inning, Tyler Tolbert grounds out to third and ends the inning and does bring back down Kansas City's win probability going into the 6th inning back to 50% as the teams are tied 2 apiece. But that doesn't change. That changes pretty quickly as we go to the bottom of the 6th with 2 out. C.J. Alexander hits his home run to center field. Kansas City takes the lead 3-2. Win probability goes up to 71%, and it was a 19.3% climb. Then Tyler Cropley singles to left. Hernandez is scoring in the bottom of the 6th as well. Again, 2 outs. This is after the home run. Kansas City now leads 4-2, and the win probability for the Royals balloons up again, all the way up to 83.8%, and another 10.5% climb. We'll go to the top of the 7th. Zach Veen singles on a bunt. There's a runner at third, or there was a runner at first, and he moves to second. That was with 0 outs. Colorado's win probability increases to 32.5 with a 9% raise due to Zach Veen's bunt single. Then Grant Levine grounds into a double play, causes 2 outs. Win probability drops to 15.2% and was a decrease of 17.3%, and that was right after Zach Veen hits a bunt single. We go to the top of the 8th. Rockies coming back, trying to mount a comeback. Ryan Ritter walks. They're now runners to third and second. The bases are loaded. Adele Amador hits a sac fly. The runner scores. The runner then advances to third. There are 2 out. And on that walk to load the bases, the Rockies' winning percentage goes to 31.3 and climbs up by 10.8%. Amador's sac fly, although gives the Rockies a run, actually hurts their win probability as it goes to 24.8 and drops 6.5%. And then there's a ground out to second to end the inning. Rockies' winning percentage plummets all the way down to 12.9. And that is the last key moment in the game as the Rockies get shut down in the 9th inning and the Royals get the save and the win. So game 1. Royals win 4-3 against the Rockies. Somewhere else in Arizona, not in the Royals facility, the second Royals squad is taking on the San Diego Padres. Royals end up losing this one 6-3, but let's talk about the numbers. So who started this game? Michael Wacha started the game. It's his first outing for the Royals, going against his former team, the Padres, that he signed away from in the offseason. Michael Wacha goes an inning. He pitches an inning for 2 strikeouts. Josh Taylor for the Royals, he spent a lot of time in the big league roster, did not have a very good ERA or good numbers in general, was very much one of those ones that came out and you just kind of rolled your eyes. They traded Taylor Clark, who was also similar in a very similar vein in reaction to when they came out, because it was what felt like an 85-15 ratio. 85% of the time they're giving up a run, they're doing something that's not helping the team, and then the 15% where there is some benefit to it. But Josh Taylor for the Royals pitches an inning, only gives up a hit, so that's promising. Then Long comes in for 2 innings and gets a hold for the fourth and fifth inning, pitches 2 innings, 3 strikeouts. Barnett ends up being the losing pitcher, goes an inning and a third, gives up 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and a home run. Paulino comes in, is given the blown save in this one as he pitches the last of the inning for Barnett and does not do any better than Barnett did. Giving up 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, and again, another homer. Then Sis comes in, pitches an inning, gets a strikeout. That's who I have for pitchers of note on this Padres game. Let's take a look at some of these bats. Maikel Garcia played today, went 0 for 3. Drew Waters also played today, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Velasquez, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Garrett Hampson finally getting on the board for the Royals. He goes 1 for 3 with a double, a run, and a strikeout. Luca Tresh, someone who's fighting for a roster spot, was a part of the 40-man, goes 1 for 3 with a double and an RBI. Rodolfo Duran comes in for 1 at bat and technically 2 plate appearances and goes 1 for 1 with a home run and with a solo shot. He also got a walk. Then Devin Mann went 2 for 3 with 1 RBI. And those are our batters of note, or batters that I found to be of note. Essentially, if you contributed to the offense, that was a highlight. Or if you were a starter, which starts out. And then these backup players are having themselves a pretty good spring. And we will get to see a couple more of these names as we continue here. So we'll go to our key moments in the game. We get to the bottom of the third for our first key moment. Fernando Tatis grounds into a double play to second, and then to first, where Nick Lofton was playing. And then a runner advances to third, and there are 2 out. And this causes the Padres' win probability to go down 10.8% for 54.3% overall win probability. We get to the top of the fourth. The Royals are up. Devin Mann hits a single on a ground ball to center field. Garrett Hampson is the runner that scores. And then the Royals take the win probability increase as they take a 1-0 lead and end up having a win probability percentage of 60.3, which climbs from 12.1 because of this play. Again, these win probabilities, when I talk about percentile increases, aren't going to make sense in a consecutive way. Almost every single one of these plays that are going to be mentioned are not in tandem with each other. They are just moments where there were spikes along the win probability graphs. So that's why they're key moments. But we'll get back to our key moments. We go to the top of the fifth. Luca Tresh hits a double on a line drive to left field. Cam Devaney scores. Royals end up taking a lead. They extend their lead. It's 2-0, and they're now at an 80.8% win probability, which was an increase of 12.7 after the play. But as we know the outcome of this game, we can still see how we got there. And we get to the bottom of the sixth, where Oscar Mercado hits a home run for the Padres, and the home run to left field. Padres come back within 1. Kansas City still leads 2-1. San Diego's win probability is now 34.7%, and that was an increase of 13.4 due to Mercado's home run. And here's where the wheels fall off. We get to the bottom of the sevens. Stay with me here. There's a couple plays that are happening, and these are more likely to be consecutive. So there's a passed ball by the catcher Rodolfo Duran for the Royals. And as a result, Tyler Wade for the Padres scores. The runner advances to third. The Padres now tied the game up at 2 apiece. Their win probability is now 69.3. Brett Sullivan walks for the Padres and then bounces their win probability to 70.2. Mason McCoy then hits a triple to center field, and it was deflected by the right fielder John Ramirez. Jose Azcar scores, and Brent Sullivan also scores. The Padres now lead 4-2. Their win probability balloons and soars up to 92% even, and that was a 21.8% jump due to the 2-run triple. And then Rodolfo Duran in the top of the ninth. We're moving on to the top of the ninth now. Rodolfo Duran hits a home run to left center field. Does make up for the run lost in the passed ball, but a little too late as the Padres will win the game 6-3. That home run does help the Royals' win probability go from 0.1 to 0.4. That's right, we're not even we are in a decimal win percentage at that point. So the home run did not do much, but was of note. And that was game 2. Our split squad went 1-1 for the day, but then they're going to join back up for game 3. It is a 9-7 victory against the Mariners. And at the time, the Royals are sitting at 5-2. And our starting pitcher for the day was Brady Singer. Brady Singer goes 2 innings, gives up a hit, and 3 strikeouts. Chris Stratton comes in, does not have a very good outing. It has been a very consistent team. Has not been having a very good spring for the Royals. He pitches an inning, gives up 3 hits, 4 earned runs, a walk, a strikeout, and a home run. Vinziano pitches 2 innings, gives up a hit, an earned run, a walk, 2 strikeouts. Johnson Boland for the Royals has had some time in the big league roster as well. Goes an inning and a third, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, and a strikeout. Not too many pitchers of note. I wanted to make note of those that had productive outings and then ones that were not so productive, like Stratton. But let's look at the bats. We scored 9 runs. We gotta look at some of these bats. So MJ Melendez went 1 for 3. He had a run scored and did have a strikeout. Bobby Witt Jr. played in this one. He went 1 for 3, had a walk and a strikeout. Nick Prado having himself another big game. Went 2 for 3, 1 run scored, an RBI, and a strikeout. His run scored and RBI are not tied together this time. No home run for Prado this time. Nick Lofton, 1 for 2, a run scored, and a walk. Kyle Isbell does hit a home run, goes 1 for 3, and a 3-run home run. So he scores 3 RBIs, scores a run himself, and a strikeout for the day. Fitzgerald went 1 for 1. Has, in that 1 hit, had the home run. It's a 3-run home run. So a very productive at-bat for Ryan Fitzgerald. So, let's get to the key moments. We know the outcome. We know who is contributing and who didn't really contribute as much. but it's still fun to get the roadmap to it. And let's get to our first key moment. We'll get to the bottom of the third. There are 2 out for the Mariners, and Mitch Haniger is going to hit a single on a ground ball to center field. Taylor Trammell ends up scoring. Nick Solak goes to third. Mariners lead 1-0. Their win probability goes to 67.3. And then we're not done in the bottom of the third with 2 outs because Cal Raleigh is going to hit a home run and is to right center field. Nick Solak and Alberto Rodriguez are scoring, so that's a 3-run home run. The Mariners now lead 4-0 in the bottom of the third. Seattle's win probability after Cal Raleigh's home run is 89 even, and that bounces up from 21.7%. But let's get to the Royals' key moment, because they ended up having a 6-run 6th inning where most of their runs score. And we know where 3 of them come from, because Kyle Isbell hits a home run on a fly ball to right center field. Nick Lofton and Mike Brousseau are on base, and they end up scoring because that's a home run. So Kyle Isbell hits his 3-run home run, and that was to finish out the top of the 6th, as the Royals end up taking a lead of 6-5. But it's not listed as a key moment, but we can talk about this real quick. So Nick Prado hits a single on a ground ball to center field. MJ Melendez scores. Bobby Witt goes to third, and that's how the Royals get their first run. There's a wild pitch by the Mariners pitcher. Bobby Witt ends up scoring. Prado to second. Mike Brousseau reaches on a missed catch error by first baseman for the Mariners to assist second baseman Nick Solak. Prado scores. Lofton to third, and then we get to our Nick Lofton and Mike Brousseau on base for Kyle Isbell. Wasn't listed as a key moment, but it was interesting that they had a 6-run inning and half of it wasn't accounted for. But the Mariners will do end up scoring 2 more runs in the 6th inning themselves. So we're going to go to the bottom of the 6th. The Royals lead 6-5. Hogan Windish hits a double to center fielder Diego Hernandez. On this double, their win probability increases 10.9%, and that is good for 49.6%. Brock Roden will then hit a single on a ground ball to right field. To the Royals outfielder Tucker Bradley. Hogan Windish ends up scoring. Game's tied 6 apiece. Mariners win probability goes to 62.5%. That's a 12.9% increase. Then Blake Hunt will hit a single to center fielder Diego Hernandez. Brock Roden scores. Cole Tucker to second. Mariners lead 7-6. Win probability for the Mariners now is at 82.0%, which is an increase of 6.7%. Alberto Rodriguez strikes out swinging. Bases are loaded to end the inning for the Mariners. That cost the Mariners 6.4% on their win probability on that strikeout by Rodriguez. And the Mariners' winning probability percentage goes to 70 even. A decrease of 6.4 in between after that strikeout. It goes down to 70%. We're going to get to the top of the 8th where the Royals are up to bat. Josh Lester for the Royals hits a double to right fielder Alberto Rodriguez. That helps the Royals' win probability percentage go up 14.9% after the double. Gives them a win probability of 39.6%, whereas then Ryan Fitzgerald will hit his home run on a fly ball after Tyler Cropley will get on base as well. So then Josh Lester and Tyler Cropley will score. Kansas City leads 9-7 Win probability 85.9%. That 3-run home run increased the win probability by 45.6%. We get to the bottom of the eighth. Mariners are going to try to mount a comeback by Colt Emerson. Unfortunately, he grounds into a double play. And that will hurt the Mariners' win probability percentage by 9.6% and will give them a final winning probability at the bottom of the eighth after the double play to 7.1. And that is the last key moment for this game, as the Royals will go on to win 9-7 and had some big flies, a very uncharacteristic attribute that the Royals don't use often, never really have. And yeah, it's always good to see the Royals hit home runs, but that's never been their strongest suit. Game 4 of 7, we have Jordan Lyles on the start. He goes 2 innings, gives up a hit, gives up a walk, does have 3 strikeouts, so that's pretty cool. Jordan Lyles, inning eater, that was essentially his role. Led the team in innings pitched. Most of the time, they just kind of let him out there until he reached his pitch count. And sometimes it would go well, sometimes it wouldn't. And he had three complete games, not shutouts, but 3 complete games because they just leave him out there. They pay him probably more than he is worth, as like Ian Kennedy. The same situation. Ian Kennedy was brought in to the Royals in 2016 to just be an innings eater. Doesn't really work out that way. Ends up going into the bullpen. Has some okay success as a relief pitcher. Ends up, after his contract with the Royals, he goes to the Rangers, ends up being a closer for a little bit. He's out of the league now, but Ian Kennedy was an innings eater for the Royals, just like Jordan Lyles is. So Jordan Lyles gets a start, 2 innings, a hit, a walk, 3 strikeouts. Marsh comes in, gives up a run in his 2 innings of work, 2 hits, 4 strikeouts, and the 1 run was due to a home run. Nick Anderson, who was on the big league roster, went an inning, gave up 2 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, and a strikeout. MacArthur, who will probably be the closer, all said and done, goes an inning, 2 hits, an earned run. That earned run comes from a home run, and he had a strikeout. Luis Cessa is one of the players I want to watch, and I think depending on how he does next week, in between episodes 3 and 4, will then determine if he gets an in-depth look as part of episode 4, because he has yet to give up a run in his innings, but they've been limited to about 5, which is pretty good in, at this point, 8 games. He'll get another outing before the end of the week as well. So, spoilers. So what are the bats doing in this one? Well, for the starters, not really a whole lot. Adam Frazier. I almost said Todd Frazier. Todd Frazier has not been in the league for several years now. But that's the first thing I think of for Frazier. It's not Todd, it's Adam. Adam Frazier. Went over 2, had a walk. So, we're yet to get a base hit, but we're walking. So, still getting on base. Salvador Perez plays today, goes 0 for 4, has a strikeout. Vinny, 0 for 2, has a walk. Luca Tresh, 1 for 1, RBI. Michael Garcia goes 2 for 3, has a strikeout. Drew Waters didn't have himself a very good game. Goes 0 for 2 with a walk, 2 strikeouts. They walked, but he had 2 strikeouts. Nelson Velasquez 1 for 3 with a strikeout. And this was a 6-1 loss to the White Sox. So we know our 1 run scored goes to Luca Tresh. But there are still some key moments, and they're all related to the White Sox. It's still worth talking about, as we are going to talk about the Royals. And we can't always just talk about them winning. It's unrealistic. No team will probably ever go 162-0. So we got to talk about losses too. And this one, kind of not ideal. So, our first key moment goes to the bottom of the fourth with 1 out. Gavin Sheets hits a home run to right field. He's going to give the White Sox a lead to 1-0. Win probability 67%, goes up from 13.8. We get to the top of the fifth. Salvador Perez strikes out swinging, and that will end the top of the fifth. There were already 2 out, and he strikes out to end the fifth, and the White Sox still lead 1-0, and that strikeout cost 6.2%. Win probability now is 28.7. We get to the bottom of the fifth. Former Royal Andrew Benintendi will hit a single to the left field. Brendan Shoemaker scores. The White Sox now lead 2-0. Win probability for the White Sox now is 87.1%, jumps up 4.5%. We get to the top of the sixth. Drew Waters strikes out. Strikes out swinging. There's 1 out. At this point, the White Sox are leading 3-0. So win probability for the Royals down 6.1% after Drew Waters' strikeout for 17.4%. Nelson Velasquez will then follow in Drew Waters' footsteps and strike out swinging. Goes for the 2nd out of the inning. Win probability goes down 4.9%. We are now down to 12.5%. And then our last moment is Gavin Sheets hitting a 2nd home run to right field. So, 2 home runs to right field. White Sox lead 4-0. They'll score 2 more runs in the 8th. All right, and that was Game 4. 6-1 loss. So, Game 5. We got a rebound after a pretty rough loss. Pretty frustrating loss. So that's what they do. The A's come to town, and the Royals will end up winning this game 5-4. Who is pitching in this one? Well, I'm glad you asked. Cole Ragans gets the start, and as the ace of the Royals, he shows that he continues to be the ace. He goes 3 innings, gives up a hit, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. Angel Zerpa comes in, has a lot better outing than he did last time. He goes 2 innings and 2 hits. Josh Taylor comes back out for an inning. He gives up a hit and a strikeout. Jake Brentz, still trying to find a good outing for him. He goes an inning, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, has 3 strikeouts, but also gives up a home run. So, in all of his outs that he collected for his inning pitch, they were all strikeouts, but there's 2 hits, 2 earned runs, and some walks, and a home run. So, not too great. But offensively, this is an exciting one. Hunter Renfrow makes his Royals debut. He was dealing with some back tightness, hadn't played yet for the Royals. He goes 0 for 2 with a walk in his first game with the Royals. Salvador Perez 1 for 3. He hits a home run for 2 RBIs. Bobby Witt Jr. he goes 2 for 3, a run scored, and he also hits a solo home run, which I wish I could play the audio for you on it because it was a very nice sounding one. But I don't believe that is going to be an option. So MJ Melendez plays today. 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts. That's all I had for bats of note. But there's 5 runs, so 5 runs scored. Could have done a little bit better job there. I think at this point I was been doing this for script writing for like an hour at this point, so I needed a break. So I kind of cut some corners on this one. But we go to key moments. It's the bottom of the first with 1 out. Salvador Perez's homer, and Bobby Witt was on base. So it's a 2-run shot. Kansas City's win probability 72.4 after the Perez home run. That's a jump of 17.4%. We get to the bottom of the third. Bobby Witt homers in the center field. That'll extend the lead to 3-0. Win probability 84.8%, an increase of 7.6%. Let's talk about what happens next. At the top of the fifth, there's 1 out. Pozo grounds into a double play, and that hurt the A's as that decreases by 8.9% for a win probability percentage of 10.8. We go to the top of the 8th. Max Muncy hits a home run. Not the Max Muncy you're thinking of. Another Max Muncy in baseball. He did not play for the Dodgers. This one has been in the A's system since he started. I just had an idea, or remembering that the Max Muncy for the Dodgers also started with the A's, but that's not the point. Max Muncy, not the Max Muncy you're thinking of, hits a home run to left center field. Tyler Soderstrom was on base, so they score 2 runs. A's are now in the ball game, 2 runs. They're still down 4-2. Win probability goes up to 13%, which was an increase of 7.6%. And then we go to Max Schumann walking. Hoy Park goes to second, and that helps the probability by 10.2% for Oakland. They're now kind of getting back into this game in the win probability perspective. They're up to 29.8% now. But that's not it for the top of the 8th. Page continues. There's a strikeout, and that bumps their winning percentage back down by 9%. And then another strikeout. And then alright. So I think I just had this mixed up. I apologize. No, okay. No, this is it. So Muncy homered, Schumann walks, Lugbauer strikes out, Bowman strikes out, and then Rosario strikes out. Okay. So the game kind of halts. They got runners on first and second, and then 3 consecutive strikeouts. So we go down the ladder. Minus 9.3 for the first strikeout. Minus another 7.9% for the second strikeout. And then minus 6.9% for that last strikeout. getting them all the way down to 5.8%. But they're going to try. Oakland's going to try. They're going to end up scoring 2 runs in the ninth. Now let's talk about these 2 runs. So Tyler Soderstrom in the top of the ninth hits a ground rule double to the right center field. Daryl Hernaiz will end up scoring. So the A's are within 1. They are now 4-3. Their probability percentage goes to 22.4, an increase of 14.1. Max Muncy strikes out looking, and their probability goes back down 11% to get them to 11.2%. Hoy Park hits a double to the center field. Jacob Wilson for the A's scores, and it's a tied game. It's a 4-4 tie now. Oakland came back and tied it up, but their still winning probability is at 47%. But that double by Hoy Park increases it by 35.8%. And then Max Schumann strikes out swinging. Jump their winning percentage down 10%. And that strikeout by Schumann was to end the inning. So we're tied up. And quickly after that, in the bottom of the ninth, Javier Vaz reaches on a throwing error by pitcher Tyler Ferguson. And as a result of this throwing error, Ryan Fitzgerald scores, and the Royals walk it off. So the walk-off win for the Royals against the Oakland Athletics. Battle of the worst teams in baseball. Some parts looked good. Other parts didn't look too hot. But they ended up winning 5-4. All right. Let's continue on here. We are now into Game 6. And this one doesn't go too hot. It's a win. It's still a win, as it's the Royals winning against the Guardians 13-12. It's an offensive shootout. So there's going to be a lot of key moments. So strap in and buckle up, because we're going to spend some time talking about key moments. But first, how did we get to 12 runs given up? Well, Seth Lugo starts today. He goes 2 1/3 innings. He gives up 5 hits, 5 earned runs. Yeesh. 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 3 home runs. So not an ideal outing for Seth Lugo. After the game, the interview of kind of like what was going on there, he said he was having a hard time getting any break on his breaking ball. So breaking ball wasn't moving a whole lot, and it was evident as he gave up 3 home runs. Will Smith makes a reappearance for the Royals. He pitched for them in 2013 before going to the Giants. But it's been a while, 11 years. So Will Smith makes his second Royals debut, and he goes an inning and 2 strikeouts. And let's see here. Altavia goes an inning, gives up 4 hits, 5 earned runs, a walk, strikeout, home run. And our last pitcher of note is Champlain. He goes an inning, gives up 2 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, and a home run. So not a whole lot of note off pitching-wise. Will Smith debuted. He had a good inning, and that was about it. Wasn't too many good ones. Anywho, on this one, I was trying to figure out offensively what to do with a box score. So if you contributed an RBI of any kind, you're on the list. So let's talk. Michael Garcia, 1 for 1, runs scored, 2 RBIs, 2 walks. Nate Eaton, 2 for 3, 3 runs scored. He had 2 RBIs. Vinny went 1 for 3. He had a run scored. He had 2 RBIs, and he had a walk. Nelson Velasquez, 1 for 3, 1 RBI, 1 walk, a strikeout. Adam Frazier finally gets a hit, 1 for 4, goes for an RBI. Bruce O, he went 0 for 4. He still got an RBI. Gray Jr., 0 for 0, had an RBI. Tolbert, 1 for 3, a run scored, an RBI, a strikeout. Wilson, 1 for 2, 2 runs, an RBI. So for those keeping track at home, Michael Garcia, Vinny Pasquantino, Adam Frazier, Garrett Hampson, Wilson, and Valera all hit doubles. Nate Eaton hit a triple. Nate Eaton also hit a home run. So Nate Eaton, big game. Needed it. You give up 12 runs. You got to score 13 to win. And that's what the Royals did. But let's talk about these key moments. Bottom of the first. Tyler Friedman hits a home run for the Guardians. It is a 2-run shot. Cleveland leads 2-0. Win probability sitting at 73.9 after climbing 15.6%. So we're going to keep it in the first. There's now 2 out, and Angel Martinez singles on a ground ball. Johnsky scores. Or Noel scores, sorry. Noel for the Guardians scores, and they now lead 3-0. Win probability sitting at 81.8. Climbed up 7.5%. We get to the top of the second. The Royals' turn. With 2 out. Michael Garcia hits a double to right field. Dyron Blanco scores. Tyler Tolbert scores. It's now tied 3-3 at this point. The Royals are back in it. Win probability is now sitting at 48.4%. An increase of 19. We're going to keep going. There's now still 2 out. Nelson Velasquez singles to left field. Garcia scores. Vinny's to second. Royals now lead 4-3. Win probability 60.3. That's it for the second. We go to the bottom of the third with 2 out. Angel Martinez scores. Hits a home run for the Guardians. It's a home run to right field. It's tied up 4-4 now. Win probability for Cleveland is now 51.2%. That home run increased it to 12.8. We get to 2 outs again. Dom Nunez hits a home run on a fly ball to right field. The Guardians now lead 5-4. Win probability 63.8%. Another climb of 12.6%. And we'll get to the top of the fourth. It's time for the Royals again. Vinny Pasquantino is going to hit a double on a fly ball to left field. Nate Eaton's going to score. Vinny's going to go to third. So it's classified as a double and then an advance on the run on the throw home. It's now tied 5 apiece. KC is now at a win probability of 61% even. All right. We get to 1 out. There's a double by Adam Frazier to right field. Vinny's going to score. The Royals now lead 6-5. We're sitting at 64.9% now. And that's it for that half of the inning. We get to the bottom of the fifth. Tyler Manzardo hits a double to center field. And a run scores. It is now tied 6-6. Win probability swings to Cleveland. It's now 64.9 for the Guardians. An increase of 14.8. They're going to hit a home run with 1 out. Schooneman hits a home run to right field. It's a 3-run home run. Cleveland now leads 10-6 at this point. They're sitting at 93.2% win probability. All right, we'll go to the top of the six. Nate Eaton hits the triple to center field. It's an increase of 5% to the Royals' win probability, now at 12.4%. We go to the bottom of the eights. Cedrola hits a home run for the Guardians. Eric Rodriguez scores. Guardians now lead 12-9 at this point. 97% win probability. But it's not over yet, because we get to the top of the ninth for the Royals. John Raves singles on a ground ball to right field. Luca Tresh to third. All right, now we're cooking. Still down 10-12 at this point, but the win probability is now 16.5. Hey, we get to a force out. Peyton Wilson grounds into a force out to second, to short. Luca Tresh scores, but there's a ground ball double play. There's now 2 out. The Royals are within 1. It's 11-12. Cleveland lead. And we get to the top of the ninth. 3-2 count. 2 out. Nate Eaton hits a home run. It's a 2-run shot. Peyton Wilson scores. Nate Eaton scores. Royals lead 13-12. They came back. They take the lead 13-12. Win probability 81.4%. Nate Eaton's 2-run home run but boost the winning probability by 70.2%. All right, and we're going to get to the bottom of the ninth. There's 1 out, and now there's a strikeout by Michael Berglund. Strikes out swinging. 2 out. That's the last of the moments. Cleveland's winning probability after this strikeout plummets down to 4.4%. And that is going to be the last key moment in Game 6. The Royals win 13-12. An exciting game. Too bad I had to work and I couldn't see it. Couldn't see it live or listen to it live. But an exciting one to look at and recap with you guys. So, exciting stuff. But we have one last game. That's right. You get one more game out of me. I know we've been going for a while, but stick with me. We have one last game, right? We're going to Game 7. Michael Wacha starts. 2 innings, 3 hits, an earned run, a strikeout. The earned run's a home run. But we're not done with our starters because Daniel Lynch is going to come in after him. He hits 2 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout. Daniel Lynch really looking like Daniel Lynch. Luis Cessa. Hey, we talked about him before. We're going to talk about him again. We talked about him last episode. We talked about him twice now in this episode. If he keeps this up, he is going to get an in-depth analysis of what he has done in spring training. Cessa, an inning pitched, 3 strikeouts. Alright, let's look at the bats. Michael Massey, 0 for 4. Bobby Witt Jr., 1 for 3. An RBI, a run scored. Drew Waters, 0 for 1. A walk, a strikeout. Salvador Perez, big game, 3 for 3. A run, an RBI. MJ Melendez, big game, 2 for 3. A run, 2 RBIs. Hunter Renfroe, not so much of a big game, 0 for 3. 2 strikeouts. Nick Pratto, looking like Nick Pratto of the spring so far. 2 for 3 with a run scored. Nick Lofton, 1 for 2. A run scored. 2 RBIs. A walk. Kyle Isbell, 1 for 3. A run scored. And a strikeout. For those wondering, CJ Alexander hits a double today. Bobby Witt Jr. hits a home run. MJ Melendez hits a home run. And Nick Lofton hit a home run today. Alright, we're speed running this one. There's not too many more key moments, so stay with me here, folks. We're almost to the end. Top of the second, 1 out. Jose Barrio hits a home run for the Reds. Reds lead 1-0. Win probability 58.8%. Go to the bottom of the second. There's a double play. Kyle Isbell grounds into the double play. But Nick Prado's going to go to third. Lofton's out at second. Isbell's out at first. 2 out. Since the Reds still lead 1-0. Win probability down 11.4% for the Royals. So looking at 42.4%. Top of the third. 1 out. Reds hit a double. Thanks to Will Benson. Hits a double. It's a left fielder. To the left field MJ spot. TJ Fried scores. Reds lead 2-0. Reds are looking like they're going to win this. Their win probability 73.6% at this point. Bottom of the third. Bobby Witt's hitting a home run to center field. They're down. They're still down. But they're within 1. Reds lead 2-1. Kansas City's win probability goes up 11.2% thanks to Bobby Witt's home run, giving them a 40.3% win probability. But we're not done. We're going to stick to the bottom of the third. Why? Because MJ Melendez is going to hit a home run to right field. Salvador Perez is scoring. MJ is scoring. The catchers are scoring. The Royals now lead 3-2 against the Reds. Win probability for the Royals goes up 22%. They now lead with a winning probability of 65.3%. And there's one last home run to talk about. 2-2 is the count. 2 out. And Nick Lofton hits a home run to left field. Nick Prado's on base. He scores. Lofton scores. Royals lead 5-2. Winning probability for the Royals 82.9%. An increase from MJ's home run. It's now 16.9% increase. 82.9. That's all the key moments. That's what the Royals did this week. They won 7-3. They scored some extra runs outside of the third. They scored a run in the fourth, a run in the sixth. Let's talk about them. Salvador Perez singles. Austin Nola scores. Carter Jensen sac flies. Isbell scores. And that's how we get our other 2 runs. 7 runs total. Reds score 3. They score on a home run. They scored on the double. They go to the 5th. Nick Martini grounds out. TJ Fried scores. There's 3. 6-3 at that point. Carter Jensen sac fly. Royals lead 7-3. Shutdown innings after that. And that's what the Royals did this week. Covered a lot of ground. 5 wins, 2 losses, 42 runs scored, 41 allowed. Some of the starters starting to get some more playing time. Big league players are getting their big league at-bats. It's starting to look like the Royals are starting to get back into actual spring training and regular season shape. We got some pitchers that are still fun to watch. Holy cow. I need to stop talking. I need to get some water. I need to stop talking. Anywho, this has been episode 3 of the Casey Lewis Show. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next week for episode 4.